Hello, this is Benjamin with ARI, your website company. Today's topic of discussion will be the inventory manager and how to enter inventory units, whether they be new, used, or new non-current. First, we'll go over to our left-hand menu and click on inventory, and then underneath inventory manager. Now, before we get started on adding a unit into the inventory manager of this site, I do have one warning for you. If you are using Lightspeed EVO or Lightspeed ELI, one of the two, you will not be entering units this way, and you will be entering them through the Lightspeed ePortal instead. If you have a Lightspeed system, you should be entering and editing all units in that system, rather than doing it here in the CMS edit. Let's continue. First, we'll click on Add Unit Inventory. On this next page, there's two ways you can go about the process. You can either add in your details manually underneath the unit model and details, or if you want help filling in this information down below, you can use the automated lookup. Just type in your unit's year, make, and model information in the same order that they list here. As you type in this line, you get a list of suggestions that pop down below. When you find the specific unit, subunit, skeleton, whatever you want to call it, of that unit, you can click on it and it will autofill a large majority of the fields down here. Let's go through a real world example. Let's say that we have a 2021. Let's go with Yamaha. And the one that I'm looking for is the wakeboard boat, the 212XE. There it is right there. As you can see, when I clicked on the suggestion, it filled in quite a few of the links down below for us. A point that I'd like to make before we move on. If you are entering a unit that we don't have the information for in our database and it has nothing to pull from, essentially, you can supply a custom manufacturer, equipment type, and style simply by hitting the plus over to the right. Now, the advantage of doing that is from this point forward, after you enter it once, it will be in that drop-down list alphabetically from that point forward. Let's continue on. The next important field we have is the link to. As long as it matches the model line that's above it, it's done correctly. The link to, as long as it's exact same as that model here, is going to pull in all the original specifications that were originally given to us by the manufacturer from our database. Things like height, weight, capacity, materials used, things like that. The second thing it will do is it will pull in some stock images that you can choose to use if you like. Display and showcase. If you want this unit to display both on your dedicated inventory page as well as the specific area within the new models page, you will want to have that display and showcase box checked. Now let's go ahead and show you where it would display on the new models page. If we scroll down, we can see that we have Yamaha right here. Now all of the stock generic information that comes from Yamaha to us is going to be underneath new model. All of the units that you actually have in stock, if you choose to check off that box that says display and showcase, it will be stored on the in stock half of that button. Stock number and VIN or serial are not required. However, if you have them, I do highly suggest that you type them in, because when someone performs a local Google search, the more information that you have about a unit, the more likely they are to actually land on that unit on your site. Location. This is obviously the physical resting place of this particular unit. If you do have multiple locations, before you enter in your units, make sure that you have all your locations listed here. If you do not, then I highly suggest that you stop entering your units, call your implementation specialist, and get that secondary or tertiary location added to avoid some serious headaches in the future. Use different address. This is great if you're selling a brokerage unit, either for a private party or for a smaller business that maybe doesn't have the manpower to do so. As you can see, you can list the different one-off street address that you have here if necessary. Description. This is a great place to put in notes about custom modifications from the last owner, any extras that you might be including, as well as any custom modifications that may have come from the previous owner. In the upper right-hand corner, we have title and condition, which are required. And the condition, since it's a 2021, we'll move it down to fair. Color and trim color are not required. New and used, required. The only industry in which this is not required is if you are using Ag and Lawn or OPE. For Ag and Lawn and OPE, the two fields that are not required by request would be new and used, and of course the year. But if it is any other industry besides Ag and Lawn or OPE, those fields are required. Usage unit. This is simply saying the amount of use and the measurement of use that is on this particular unit. This is a required field. So we're going to go ahead and go with hours. We're going to say 9,500 hours. Base price. If you'd like to fill in the price, you can select web price from this dropdown, and it opens up a field for you to type in that dollar amount. Or if you don't want to display a price for this unit on the site, you can select call for price or one of the many other labels that you see down here. Best price. This is a legal way to get around map restrictions. In other words, let's say that Yamaha sends you a brand new boat. When doing so, they say that you cannot list this boat on your site for anything less than MSRP, otherwise it's a breach of your contract with them. Well, if you receive the unit and know that you can sell it face-to-face in the dealership for a lower price, then you can take that dollar amount and type it in here. This will generate a best price button to the right of the unit's images on its final listing on the site. When your customer clicks on the best price button, It'll ask them for their name, phone number, and email, and as soon as they hit submit, it will send them an immediate private email with this lower price in it, and you can begin the negotiations. Destination charge. This would be any charge in getting the unit from the manufacturer to a location that you would like to pass on to the customer. Let it be known that for some of our units, this destination charge is already pre-added to the unit. So if you do put in units of brands like BMW and other motorcycles, primarily, but there's other industries as well, just make sure that destination charge is correct to your sales. All right, we'll go ahead and hit save, and we'll continue on to the next area. Now, because we took the time to fill in that link to field, we are going to get to go over to specs and features. Now, all this information is pulled in from our database, which is originally provided to us from Yamaha. So the likelihood of this particular information being incorrect is few and far between. But let's say that something had changed with the last owner and they modified something, and you needed to change either something in the main description or this description table. You can flip over to Use Customized and change and add in as much information as needed. Manage images. Now, you'll remember me saying on the first page that it will pull in some stock images. The question that I get a lot is, Ben, for this X unit, how many images is it going to be pulling in from the manufacturer? Well, I have a very confusing answer for you. Depending on the manufacturer and the type of unit, it varies very widely. I've seen as little as 1, and I've seen as many as 190. It really depends on the unit brand and type. The order in which you see the images down here are going to display in the same order on your website. If you'd like to change that display order, you can use the move up and move down or move to top buttons. The only exception to that rule, let's say that you've got a lot of pictures. Towards the middle of the group, you have an image that you would like to display first, but for whatever reason, you don't want to take the time and effort to move to the top. No problem. Fill in the radio buttons to the left of the image that you would like to display first. It will display that image first, and then the rest of the logical order that it will follow will be from the top to the bottom of the list. To add in your own images, either in conjunction with these stock ones or in addition to them, you can click on Add Custom Images. By default, when this file browser comes up, it will always be on the Browse tab. But to begin grabbing images off of our computer, we'll go to the right and click on Upload, then to the far left and click on Select Files. For today, we're just going to be grabbing some very random images off of my computer. So let's select this one, hold down the Control key so we can select multiple, this one, and this one, and we'll hit open. Once you have a full green status bar and 100% to the right of each one of these files' names, it adds them to the Browse tab that you see here. Now, you don't immediately need to add in all the images you just uploaded if you don't want to. You can pick and choose from the group, and the order in which you see the thumbnails down here is the order in which they're going to get added to the bottom of this list that you see back here. Choose selected images. Now, obviously, this particular unit has very little to do with the boat, so we're going to go ahead and hit delete. Okay, and it's gone. Add custom caption. This is a feature that we've had for about 1.5 years, 2 years now, and I've been getting really great feedback from dealers like yourselves. Not only does this give your customer a better idea of what they're buying, because you can type in a caption about maybe a custom feature that's in one image, maybe some slight damage that's in another. So not only does it give your customer a clearer idea of what they're actually potentially purchasing, but also, according to my marketing team, the more custom captions that you add in, the more likely someone is to land on that particular unit on your site when performing a local Google search. Edit visibility. There are 3 important things here. Let's start off with the most important. Sales channels. By default, every unit will check off this ARI website box. As long as this box stays checked during that final save and publish, then this unit will be listed over on your site. And of course, if it was to become unchecked, then this unit would only be listed here in the editor. Some other examples of popular sales channels that I see quite often would be sales channels like Auction 123, Kijiji, Craigslist, Backlot, Gumtree, Cycle Trader, RV Trader, eBay Motors, and quite a few others. Depending on what package you have with us, you could see as many as 13 different sales channels listed here. Over to the right, you've got product groups. Product groups is a way to advertise units that you want sold fast. It takes the year, make, model, first picture, and price of the unit, and lists it in a very similar format to that of a classified ad like you'd see in your local newspaper. In order to have a better idea of what I'm talking about, let's jump over to my website and back onto my homepage, and I'll give you some real-world examples. As we scroll down past the CTAs and these offers, you can see the product groups I've created. Honda, BWC, Ducati, top sellers, our favorites, side-by-side UTV, all ATVs, and there you have it. The limit of product groups that you can have on your homepage is 10. The limit of units that you can have in each product group is 50. And not only can you put large inventory units, but you can also add in aftermarket parts, clothing, and accessories as well. Back out of here. Then you have showrooms. In order to best explain this, let's jump onto one of my inventory pages. We'll jump over to my site and into all of my pre-owned inventory. Now, any site on the internet selling anything that's worth its weight at all will have filters over to the left to help you narrow down your selection. Well, let's say that you take a look at these filters and you're like, you know what? That is not quite specific enough for what I'm selling. Can I create my own filter? Yes, that's exactly what Showrooms is. If we scroll down here, you can see some of the showrooms that I've created. So we have all ATVs, PWC, side-by-side, snowmobile, and golf carts. For today, let's go into PWC, and I've taken my 8 most popular selling units, historically speaking, and added them in here. You can have as many showrooms as you like, have as many units of any type as you like in each showroom. And this is just a way to make the customer's experience of navigating to specific units on your site a lot easier and faster. One good example I have of some really good showrooms, I was working with a gentleman down in southern Georgia about a year ago now, and he created 3 showrooms. One that was called Great Bikes for Beginners, Great Bikes for Intermediate Riders, Great Bikes for Advanced Riders / track use only. Now, due to that change and a few other changes, he was actually able to increase his profits year over end by roughly 10%. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen for you, but it definitely will make your site easier to navigate for your customers, which is always good. We'll jump back to our editor. We'll hit save one more time. This will lead us back to the first page of the inventory manager. Now I'll go ahead and highlight, right-click, and copy that model information. We'll publish this unit over to the site, and once that goes through and publishes, we'll jump over to our website, jump into our search bar, paste that in. Now, if the system is working correctly, you should be able to see this unit within the first 6 search results on the next page. Search, and here you can see it is right up top. It used the image that I told it to, comes up as in stock, 9,500 hours, call for price, and if we click on View Details, we'll scroll down here. This is the old visual that we had, and we have a new design that is called VDP. So now down below here you can see the VDP. And over here you have your buyer's tools. Underneath these images provided by Yamaha, you've got all the key features and all of that. Now, a question I get a lot is, Ben, if I'm going to sell this with 3 different packages that include like 8 add-ons each, and I took the time to add that into the description down here, where is that going to show up on the final listing? That information is going to show up above key features with its own box titled Dealer, Notes, and Insight. We'll jump back to our editor, back to our dashboard. Now there's a little extra piece of information that I would like to tack on, but I'm going to have to go into another training to do so. Until I talk to all of you again, thank you very much for your variable time, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.